Let me ask you something, and be honest. When was the last time you took a real vacation? Not the kind where you're on the beach in Mexico answering text messages and returning emails. Not the kind where you checked out, but your phone buzzed 40 times because nobody could make a decision without you. I mean a real one, like gone. Everything turned off, and the practice is running fine while you're not there. Now, if you're struggling to remember when that last time was, then this episode is for you. Because here's the thing nobody tells you when you start a practice. You didn't buy a business, you bought a job. A really expensive, high-stress job sometimes, where you're also the boss, the bank, and the guy who gets called when things break. So today we're talking about why so many practice owners build something that falls apart the second that they walk out the door, and what actually has to change so it doesn't. Welcome back to the No BS Dental Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Pistorius. And today's episode, we're going to talk about an uncomfortable truth. If your practice can't run without you for a week, then you don't own a practice. You are the practice. And that's a problem because anything that depends entirely on one person is fragile. One person gets sick, one person burns out, one person gets a back injury bending over a chair for 20 years, and suddenly the whole thing's worth a fraction of what you thought it was. I talk to owners all the time who are doing $1 million, $2 million, $700,000 in production, and they're proud of it, and they should be. But then I ask, what happens to collections the week you're out? And the room gets a little quiet because the answer is it craters. Production stops because they're the only producer. The team coasts. Nothing moves forward. The business is basically holding its breath until the owner comes back. That's not a business. That's a man holding up a tent with his own arm. Now, why does this happen? And it's not because you're lazy or you're a bad manager. It's almost always one of three things. First, and this is the big one, you never built systems. You build dependencies. Every time someone had a question, you answered it. Felt good, felt important, but every time you answered instead of teaching, you trained your team to bring you the question instead of solving it. Do that for 10 years and you've got a team of really nice people who literally cannot function without you. You did that, not them, you. Second, you're confusing being needed with being valuable. There's an ego hit that comes with delegation, and we don't want to talk about it enough. When you're the only one who can do the thing, then you feel essential, right? And letting go of that feels like losing your importance. But I'll tell you what's actually valuable. A practice that produces whether or not you're standing in it. That's worth real money. The other thing is just a very stressful hobby. Third, and don't sleep on this one, you have not separated the jobs. As the owner, you're wearing like 5 hats. You know, you're the doc, CEO, HR, finance, marketing, and they all blur together until you can't tell which problems actually need you and which ones actually just landed on your desk by default. The problem is that it doesn't need a dentist. A lot of these issues don't need a dentist. The schedule doesn't need a dentist. 90% of what eats your day doesn't need a dentist. It needs a system and a person who owns it. So what do you actually do about it? Let's get practical because I don't want this to be a therapy session. I want it to be actually useful for you. Start with one simple exercise. For 1 week, every time somebody interrupts you with a question or a problem, write it down. Just the topic. By Friday, you'll have a list, and I promise you'll see patterns. Same 5 things over and over. Those patterns are your roadmap. Each one is either a decision somebody else should be empowered to make or a system that doesn't exist yet. Then you build that system, and building it doesn't mean writing a 40-page manual nobody will ever read. It means who owns this, what's the standard, and what do they do when it goes sideways. That's it. Front desk knows exactly how to handle a cancellation. Office manager knows the spending limit they can improve without calling you. Hygiene knows the reactivation protocol. You write the decision down once, and then you stop being the decision. Sounds nice, right? Now, here's the part that's going to sting a little. You have to let people make mistakes because the moment you swoop in and fix every small error, you've taught everyone that the safe move is to wait for you. That was a hard one for me. A team that's allowed to be wrong sometimes is a team that learns to be right on their own. Let me say that again. A team that's allowed to be wrong sometimes is a team that learns to be right on their own. A team that's never allowed to fail never learns to do anything without permission. And listen, the goal here isn't to disappear. It's not about working less because you've checked out. It's about building something with actual enterprise value. Because someday, whether it's 5 years or 25, you're going to want to slow down, sell, bring in a partner, do something else. And the question every buyer and every partner, every bank is going to ask is, does this thing work without the dentist, the owner? If the answer is no, you've capped what it's worth. You built yourself a cage and put a really nice chair in it, really expensive chair too. Now, the vacation is just a test. It's the smoke detector. If you can leave for 2 weeks and come back to a practice that ran fine, collected fine, and solved its own problems, congratulations. You build a business. If you can't, that's not a reason to feel bad. It's a to-do list. So here's your homework. And it really costs you nothing. Pick a date, a real one, on the calendar, far enough out that you've got time to prepare, a week where you're gone and unreachable. Then spend the next 90 days building toward it. Systems, decisions, ownership, hand it off piece by piece. Treat that vacation like a deadline because that's exactly what it is. If the practice survives, you've proven you built something real. And if it doesn't, you'll learn more in that 1 week about where your business is fragile than you ever learned in the past 5 years of being chained to the chair. You didn't get into this to buy yourself a job. You got into it to build something. So go build the version of it that doesn't need you standing in the room. That's it for today. If this one hit a nerve, do me a favor and send it to another owner who hasn't taken a real vacation in a decade or maybe. They'll either thank you or block you. Either way, you've helped them. So take care of yourself, take care of your team, and I'll see you the next time.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Dental Marketing Podcast. Make sure to visit our website, www.kickstartdental.com/podcast, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Spotify, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you are ready to grow your practice, then you might want to schedule a free strategy session with us. Just go to kickstartdental.com and click the free strategy session button and give us 15 minutes of your time to change your practice forever. Be sure to tune in next week for our next episode. And thanks for listening to the Dental Marketing Podcast by KickStart Dental Marketing, where dentists go to win online.